you get asked a lot, which is, at what point do you say to yourself, this is what I'm going to do? I mean, this is where I'm going to take my money. This is what I'm going to focus however many years of my life to do.
Well, that's a good question. I wish you wouldn't have brought it up because I don't know, because we have so many people that depend on us to move forward that it's really not just my decision anymore. And as long as you got good people helping, man, let's roll forward. It's like getting on a good gray horse. Go ahead and slap that son see where you end up.
Well, Chad, I'm sure you've had discussions with your dad about this and how things are looking. And I mean, is there ever a point where you two don't agree on, I think we should keep going, or I think we shouldn't keep going, or I'm feeling better about this? What's that dynamic like between the two of you?
Oh, we definitely butt heads sometimes. There's no doubt about that. But the thing is we worked together. I mean, since I was a kid. Yeah, and it is somewhat give and take, but not many people get to have adventures like this with their dad. I mean, we're literally looking for treasure, and we're on a show, and we're getting paid to do it. So it's pretty cool. I mean, all in all, it's a great experience.
Well, Duane, watching the show, people get to see, a lot of you. They start to see your personality, start to see decisions you make or don't make, and I'm sure you hear back from people who are watching the show. And I mean, for me, one of my questions was, why do you guys have more security in the off season? That really, this new season really kicks off with all these people popping up, and I think that was my first reaction was, didn't you guys have security? What's the deal?
So you might say that the biggest security we got is water, and if we have a hard time getting into certain scenarios during the prime time, we don't feel like they can really do much damage even out there in the winter and things like that. So it's kind of like a commode, a sewer loop, or something like that. You got to get through that water to even get to where we need to go to get into the cave systems. Until we find out where the dry entries are, they can good luck with that one, because they're out there sneaking around, at night trying to find something that's hard for us to find during the day. And and another good thing is that, those poachers, if they know something, we can find out what they're up to pretty easy, and so we don't have to do all the work.
Well, that's a good way of looking at it. Let someone else do the hard stuff for you. So.
Yeah, well, if that's what they want to do. But I will say this, and I want to be very, very clear about this, is the sad thing about this whole deal is that there's people out there that are being misled by these higher ups, and they're having to do all the dirty work, but yet the higher ups don't show up. And so we're having to deal with some people's employees, and it's not fair to them if they're being misled and those other guys are hiding behind the damn miniskirt. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Chad, you've done some scary things on the that have been on the show anyway. I don't know what's going on after with this not being filmed, but diving and other things. I mean, have there ever been some moments where you just after the fact thought to yourself, wow, that was just really not a good idea. I really shouldn't have done
Oh yeah, a lot. I mean that's my life story. Like, it always seems like a good idea to do it at first, and you look back, you're like, that could have went bad really fast. I mean, I've just always had that in me for whatever reason. I don't know. I like to push the envelope and really turn it up, and usually everything works out just fine. So I have faith that there's there's some kind of higher force that's keeping me safe, and I'm gonna keep believing that.
Duane, I'm curious, are you more or less positive you're going to find a big treasure now that you've been doing this for a while?
So everything is leading to more and more and more. But where we first started thinking what we're going to find it's way bigger than that. Now we're dealing with quantum and all this kind of stuff. It's helping prove the point of some of the stuff that I knew about back in '09 from way high up. And so there is so much stuff there, and now it's being verified. You know, this might sound strange, but I think the gold and the silver is going to be the trivial part of this whole deal.
Well, it's certainly what I've seen so far. I've seen the first two episodes of this season. You're definitely going off in some directions I wouldn't have predicted. So I'm curious to see where this all ends up. You know, Chad, I'm wondering, just have you done any sort of more looking into what's the history of it, or are you just sort of going with it, and you're the guy who's doing all the dangerous stuff? I mean, or does that the history part of it fascinate you? Because that whole area is a little inexplicable. You know, your ranch, and you've got the Skinwalker Ranch, which isn't all that far away, and it seems like that part of Utah has got some really strange stuff going on.
Oh, yeah, great question. And that makes total sense. You know, we do have a lot of experts that come in, and they're more like know all these certain facts, and some of them line up and some of them don't. And I've taken notes with all of them. The history part about it is amazing, right? If you were to get back in the 1600s, whenever the natives were there and they had to take over either the Spaniards or the Aztecs to get right of the gold, and then they make deals with the Mormons, and there's a lot of bloodshed, and it was a tough time for a lot of people back then. And we're talking, these guys were traveling on horses from South Mexico that came from Spain on a ship. The adventure aspect totally blows my mind, how rugged and how tough these guys were, and the story too, the story behind it. So everything that we find is another clue, and I can't get enough of it, of leading back to who would have done that, or what battle took place here to, you know, to free themselves. So it's very fascinating, and these clues are real. We're talking like real clues that we're finding, and it's really cool.
Well, Duane, I suspect when you started this, you had in the back of your mind, you know, I think this is how it's going to play out. I need to do this and this and this, and then I'm going to find the treasure. I get the impression from watching the show that went off in some directions you weren't anticipating when you started.
You know, that's exactly right. And on the last deal, you know, the reason we went up there and to help out on that project, and then we ended up buying into it in the whole 9 yards. We never thought it was going to go like that. We had a 90-day window back in '08, '09 to get this deal proven up, and the next thing you know, everybody pretty well went their own way, and I decided to buy into the project and just keep it going, me and one other guy. And there is no way that you could have outguessed this deal. No way. I mean, it gives a wild ride a bad name, because it's been a wild deal, and we deal with so many different agencies and everything. It seems like the more we find, the more we get, you know, penalized and slowed down, you know.
And knowing what you know now, would you still have said, "Yeah, this is what I'm going to do"?
Yeah, I'd really like to complete this project, and as long as I got good people like Chad, hell, I'll stir up anything.
How about you, Chad? I'm curious, is there going to be a point where, you know, you just find yourself thinking, however many years down the road, you know what, this is a great project, but, you know, I got stuff I need to do.
You know, this project is big, and we really think it's there. I mean, there's no doubt about it. So it's kind of the biggest thing I have going on right now. I really want to, you know, finish this project before I move on to the next one. And yeah, there's a lot of other stuff out there, but I mean, this is a pretty big concern. So I mean, here's the thing: is I don't think I'll ever just be done or with whatever. And the thought of finding treasure, I mean, I don't see how you could get anything better, really.